Gina from Raleigh, what do you think of the carnivore diet? Has it compared to keto? Does it have any additional benefits? Carnivore diet is a newer trend, but something that kind of like keto has been around for a very, 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 very long time.
That's right. Imagine that. Our ancestors ate animals?
Yes.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Yes. And
really?
Some of our ancestors ate exclusively animals. And that's what the carnivore diet is.
Yes. I mean, did we inherit some DNA from our ancestors?
You know,
I believe we did.
A little bit.
Yes.
A little bit.
I don't think it came from outer space.
Yeah.
It came from our ancestors who were adapted to eating animals. Yes. So, look, the carnivore diet's great. Right? I reject the notion that that it might be unhealthy or something like that. I don't think there's any evidence to support that. Carnivore is eating what comes from animals.
Yes, animals and what comes from animals. A lot of people think of it as a all meat diet, but a lot, of carnivore individuals will eat organ meats and eggs because those do come
eggs
from
and cheese. Comes from, eggs, cheese, butter, sour cream, cream cheese. All this comes from animals, right? So
they do exclude vegetables entirely, generally. Generally.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that the folks that I see that do it really have very good parameters of health when they do it. Yes, and so I think there's a lot of pros, in my opinion. Look, you can find a bunch of people that, for various reasons, will say it's bad. That's fine. I happen to think that is their arguments are rather intellectually weak. They may have ethical reasons. They may have moral reasons. They just may be allowing the right side of their brain to dominate the left side, and that's okay. There's no problem with that. But to me, I can't find a reason that it's not healthy. I think it's all pro and no con. And when I consider the American population, which pretty much is beset with metabolic syndrome, a way to treat that would be a carnivore diet, right? The lower on carbohydrate you go, the better.
Yeah, and there is no such thing as a non-keto carnivore diet. Right. If you are carnivore, you are automatically on keto. There is a way to be keto without being carnivore, though, right? So there's the difference.
Right.
It's really just the animal portion of a ketogenic diet that you do when you're carnivore. And as far as the additional benefits, like we already touched on, there are a lot, right? When you are in ketosis, there are plentiful benefits that we've talked about. But then there's the additional potential benefits of the carnivore diet for a lot of people with digestive issues or intolerances to vegetables. Right? Vegetables are not unhealthy, but we have to keep in mind plants have defense systems, just like animals do.
Excellent point. Evolutionary derived defense systems that were designed to keep other living things from eating them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And some people really do react poorly due to gut issues, genetics, right? Metabolic stuff going on. They may not do well with a lot or all vegetables. So a carnivore diet can really solve a lot of digestive issues that people have that keto itself may not.
And we got a lot of patients that do carnivore. We got a lot of them that do it. And they're all successful when they do it, incidentally. Every one of them is successful when they do it, but both from the weight standpoint and from the parameters of health standpoint. I mean, I think you bring up this point about the evolutionary defense that plants put up is something that, again, if you just want to be a drone, right? If you just want to be a right side brain person and not ever use the logical side of your brain, I think you have to otherwise consider these things, right? And at least give them an honest. If you're just being in the middle of the road, I'm going to consider both sides of it. You have to consider that. The other thing you and I know about is, look, there's about a lot of genetic modification that's taken place in farm-raised plants, all right? And the assumption that this somehow is just going to be something our bodies adapt to really easy, I think it's a faulty assumption. Because I just know a lot of people who can't eat certain vegetables without getting all sort of inflammatory phenomenon, stuff like this, right?
And it's not just gut. It can be their joints, their skin, their brain.
It affects a lot of things, right? So I think that this is an area over the next 50 years you're going to see a lot more information about. I agree. And when you go back and look at recommendations about eating fruits and vegetables, for example, or eating meat, this other sort of thing, these are more or less kind of consensus thoughts of so-called experts. They don't represent any scientifically validated sort of information. And to be honest with you, Michelle and I could come up and say, you know what, we recommend eating Twinkies 4 times a day. We think it's going to make you live longer. There's our consensus statement. And you guys would think that's crazy. But that's exactly how recommendations about vegetables and fruits and so forth came about. And I think we would be negligent in our scientific duty if we just accepted that without looking to see, now wait a minute, this is really hard to test people over a long period of time. So those sort of trials won't be done. But what happens in the short term when we look at various parameters of health, when we feed people this stuff, right? And so this is where the clinical part of medicine comes in. You can't design a trial about everything, right? I mean, I can't design a trial to say, okay, look, we're going to test parachutes out of airplanes. We're going to have one group jump with the parachute and the other without the parachute. And let's see what happens, right? Because the group without the parachute is all going to die, right? Okay, so you can't do that kind of study. And there's some limitations on what kind of studies you can do. You can't study people over a period of 40 or 50 years on what they eat. This is impossible to do, and then make some sort of reasonable assumption about the effect that it had. So we're really kind of confined to, hey, what do we see when we treat people with these various nutritional therapies? And I happen to think the carnivore diet is something that, to me, is a good thing for most people.
Yeah, I completely agree.